What's going on, people? Welcome to the Everton player rating show where we'll be discussing all of the individual performances from the game. In this one, I'm by myself. However, I've still got AJ's ratings. He's had to pull out in the last minute due to an emergency. As always, not just AJ, I want to hear your ratings, so let me know in the comment section down below what you made of some of the performances from the game, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Let's jump straight into it with the goalkeeper, Sam Johnson. AJ gave him a 7. I gave him a 7.5. In honesty, it feels a bit too low, even though I've given that rating and AJ's given a 7. Because, looking back, well, I'm a bit conflicted about it. I thought we had a very good game in terms of like saves. Let's bring up some of the stats. He made about 5 saves, 1 from the box, 3 punches as well. I thought his distribution was relatively well. But the reason why I give a 7.5 is, let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I thought that he didn't make game-changing saves like consistently. I thought we were solid defensively, but the 1 or 2 times that they did get behind, they didn't have that many chances. Johnston stepped up to the plate and made the saves, and that's why I gave him a 7.5. For me to give him an 8.5, I'll probably have to, see maybe a few more saves, game-changing saves. But he didn't really have to do that. And that's a credit to the defense, which we'll be talking about in just a second. So Johnson, once again, fantastic. Hopefully continues this. But I'll tell you this, over the last 3 games or so, whenever he's been playing, it's given me huge confidence. And I think it's given the backline confidence as well, due to how good he has been with those saves when it's needed. Let's move on to the right back situation. Joel Ward, 6. Me and AJ both agreed on that. And the reason why I gave it 6 is I thought he was relatively solid defensively. He kept McNeil as quiet as possible, and they didn't really create that many chances down that side. But going forward, he was involved. 100% he was involved. He was trying to help out Olise as much as he can. But there wasn't that many moments where I thought, I think he brought in the cross once or twice, which was solid. But there wasn't that many moments where I saw like Joel Ward being a threat going forward. But he's not meant to be a threat going forward. We know his capabilities. But look, overall, I thought he had a relatively solid performance in defense. Nothing too great, nothing too bad. Just above average. Me and AJ both agree on that. And let's move on to the centre backs. Joachim Madison, 7 from AJ, 7.5 from me. I thought both of them were great, but we're talking about Joachim Andersen in particular. He had a lot to do with in terms of Calvert-Lewin, just like Mark Gay as well. But with Joachim Andersen, the thing that stood out to me the most was his long ball distribution. 9 out of 15 accurate long balls. Also, he tried to put it across a few times. Had 54 touches in terms of his defensive duties. He only had 5 clearances, which was good, and only got dribbled past once. So yeah, I thought he had a relatively solid performance and was very, very good in the air against Calvert-Lewin as well. He won 6 out of the 8 headers that was required from him. So once again, fantastic with his diagonal balls. And defensively, there's nothing really to question. And similar applies to the likes of Mark Gahey. I thought, AJ agrees as well. He gave same ratings for both of them, just like me. I gave 7.5. AJ gave a 7 in this one. I thought Gahey's passing was much better. He had about 80% accurate passes. He had 81 touches, which is crazy, which shows how patient we were at times in the build-up play of the game. And long balls, he attempted as well, 7 out of 16, so not bad there, and was very good on the ground and in the air. I guess against Calvert-Lewin, let me know what you guys think. I feel like Gahey probably had a bit more defensive responsibilities with Calvert-Lewin than the likes of Andersen. Because I remember Gahey being pushed, and the referee just literally let it slide until it reached later on stages of the game for him to finally receive a yellow card, Calvert-Lewin. I thought Gahey done a fantastic job. Calvert-Lewin was trying to annoy him, but literally Gahey said, stay in my pocket, just be quiet. So yeah, fantastic from Gahey and Andersen once again. Tyrick Mitchell, left back position. We speak about him quite a bit. He picked up a yellow card in the game as well. AJ gave him a 7. I also agreed with AJ with his rating of a 7. He, in terms of defensively, he had 3 clearances, 3 tackles, 1 interception. So not bad in that aspect. He lost the I gave him a 7. I was going to give him a 6 as well, or 6.5, because the amount of times he lost possession was quite a lot, 27 times. So I wasn't quite, keen on that. But I don't think he had a bad game as well. He tried to support Ayew down the left-hand side. Maybe could have done a bit better. I mean, he had 5 crosses, none of them were accurate, which we're going to talk about the striker situation. Trust me, there's performances to talk about today that we're going to move on to and talk about them in a few minutes' time. But Mitchell wasn't really the one that stood out for me in terms of talking about him. Yeah, I thought he had a pretty solid game. Maybe could have done a bit more going forward. Jeffrey Schlupp, 6 from AJ, 5.5 from me. I'll be honest. You guys let me know if I'm being too harsh. I just didn't see much. Players can have a bad game, so I'm not going to slate him because he's had a very good run of games under Roy Hodgson. But in this game, Jeffrey Schlupp, he just wasn't involved as much in midfield. He only had, 28 touches. His passing was, only 7 accurate passes. Long balls wasn't that great defensively. Didn't win that many ground duels. Only 2 out of 6, 1 out of 8 in the air, and lost possession about 12 times as well. Look, it wasn't his greatest games, but we have to give respect to Jeffrey Schlupp for what he's done since Roy Hodgson has arrived. It's one bad game, and he wasn't the only one that had a average game. So yeah, you just move on from it. But it wasn't the usual Jeff that we see under Roy ever since he's coming anyways. Let's move on to Ems. This is an interesting talking point. I just needed AJ here, but he had an emergency. 8 from AJ, 6.5 from me. Now, them ratings are far off, so I was wondering what AJ was seeing. But in terms of stats, we can bring them up. He had 37 touches in, played the full 90. Only 18 accurate passes, 66.7%. He was good defensively. He won 5 out of 7 ground duels. But for me, I don't think Ebbs had a 7 out of 8 type of performance. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, or maybe AJ is praising him. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys think he did have an 8 or 9. But it might be down to the expectations as well with Ebbs. Look, Ebbs has been phenomenal over the last 3 games, and I feel like the expectations are naturally being raised for him. But in this game, I mean, in the first half, he was quiet. He was quiet once again, just like in the Southampton game. But the difference in this game for Ebbs was that in the second half, he didn't really have that flick of a switch. I don't think he had a bad game. He was still involved. He was more involved in the second half than the first half. But for me, based on what I've been seeing as of late, I thought it was more of an average type of game to standards rather than a good game. I just don't know what Ebbs really done. He had that shot. I believe it was in the second half that Pickwood made a save about it. But other than that, I don't know. I just, me personally, at the game, I just didn't see what Ebbs done that great to get 8. But yeah, so I stuck with my 6.5. Let me know what you guys think about Ebbs' rating as well, because I just, yeah, I thought it was a more of a, I don't think he had a bad game, but more of a below par game to what we've been used to, which, you can make the argument that maybe expectations are too high for him over what we've seen. That could be also a fair point. And for the final midfielder, Cheick Doucouré, don't worry, we haven't forgot about him. AJ gave it 7. I gave it 8. I'll be honest, he had, once again, maybe just me, he just looked so solid in front of the defense. Like, whenever there's a mistake, he's just there to clean it up. And I think that's what makes Doucouré so great. In this game, passing, very good. Nearly 90% passing accuracy. He done relatively well with, his ground duels. He won 4 out of 5 in the air, 2 out of 3. Doucouré is turning into a player and a half. And I feel like as games are going by, he's not getting the plaudits that he deserves. And I feel like that's down to other players and other talking points. But Doucouré has just been absolutely fantastic. He's reached that territory where you can make the argument with the likes of Gahey or Anderson as well, where they can have solid games, and sometimes we don't really talk about him after the game as much. And yesterday, another brilliant game, and once again didn't pick up a yellow card. So Doucouré, he just needs to build it up. Just needs to build it up and keep improving. In terms of improvement, I think the main area for him is consistency, which he's been doing ever since Roy's come in, especially with the discipline side of the game. But he's just amazing. He's literally just amazing in front of the back four. And as long as he doesn't keep a yellow card, I feel like he will still doesn't get a yellow card. I feel like he'll still keep his performances up, and hopefully he does, because yeah, absolutely brilliant yesterday. I was very impressed by him, and the stats don't really show it, I guess, but from the eye test, I was really impressed by him. Now let's move on to the Ghanaian Ronaldinho, whatever you want to say. Jordan Ayew, 7 from AJ, 7.5 from me. I'll be honest, I'm surprised that people are getting onto Ayew about yesterday's game. I thought he was one of our better players, especially in the first half. Maybe in the second half, you can make that argument. Decision making was as good, but even in terms of stats, I mean, he has 67 touches. He's very involved, and defensively, 9 out of 14 ground duels won. Brilliant there. And he had a few shots. I guess his shots weren't good enough. I remember one shot. I think it was him. It literally hit not in row Z. It hit the director's box, and there's probably another injury there for another player. But literally, he dribbles was brilliant. And I'm telling you, if Jordan Ayew had an end product, he will not be at Palace, because I feel like Jordan Ayew's dribbling is just off this world at times. Once he's in a high, run of form where he's just feeding himself, he's taking controls with his chest, bringing it down, going left, right, dribbling past two players. And that's the best Jordan Ayew that I've seen all season long over these last 3 games, And in this game, I thought he was relatively solid. Maybe his production levels in front of goal or in and around goal could have been a bit better. But in terms of the build-up play and just being a force and picking up the ball in like midfield areas or wide areas, I thought he had another solid game. Especially in the first half, I remember he just took one touch. I can't. It was down. It was down our left-hand side, and I think he chested it or something crazy like that. I was just thinking, this guy's playing a different game, which is just. It's not the same game. It's not the same wavelength as all the other players. He's just literally just taking a piss half the time. But yeah, Jordan Ayew, absolutely, solid game, especially in the first half. Maybe the second half could have been a bit better, and that's why I gave him a 7.5 rather than 8 or 9, because the end production levels wasn't really there. Michael Olise, let's talk about him. AJ 7, give him a 7. I give him a 7 as well. He was involved. With the attack, but the problem with me is could have arguably gave him a lower rating as well. It wasn't clinical enough. He wasn't clinical enough. There was that opportunity when we were talking about Hughes, but Hughes gave him the ball, and if he just shot with his right foot, I think that's the one area that Olise genuinely needs to improve on, and that's his weak foot. Once he improves on his weak foot, he's going to be a force that you just cannot stop. Right now, even though he's very good with his left foot, there was that moment, I think it was in the second half, where all he has to do is just shoot with your right foot, and he just didn't do it. And that's pretty much been his weakness in his game, which if you're talking about rooms for improvement, that'll be one of it. Accurate crosses, he didn't have that many, which you can make the argument maybe the strikers wasn't in their positions. You only had 2 out of 11 that actually reached his target. And yeah, look, he tried to beat down his players, but Everton, I feel like, done a relatively good job on the likes of Eze and Olise in terms of trying to make sure they're doubling up on those type of players to stop them. And I thought, you have to give them credit for that. But Olise, not bad game, but not the usual Olise or Eze that we've seen in the last 3 games as well, especially in attack. And now moving on to the striker situation, Edward. AJ 5, me 5, bang average performance. Where do we start with the striker situation? I mean, he played 71 minutes. In 71 minutes, he only had 19 touches. Relatively, he was like a ghost out there. And my problem with him is he got beat too easily. Edward just got beat too easily in this game, and it's frustrating to watch. It really is, because he'll have one good game and then another bad 2 to 3 games. It's not only him. You can make the argument, the likes of even Mateta when he came on. What did he do? We'll talk about him in just a second. But let's just make one thing clear. I've reached a point that I think both of our strikers are not good enough. And it's one area that we need to improve on. Because you swap one for another. You might have a good game now and then disappear for the next 5 games, but that's not good enough in the Premier League. And he was pretty much invisible. He was invisible. I thought we got bullied on the ground, in the air. Didn't have much to do. Passing was relatively poor as well. Wasn't in the right positions. So for me, Edward, not good enough. Not good enough in this game. And yeah, we'll talk about in the preview. The preview is going to be released. Maybe you're watching this while the preview for the Wolves has been released. But we'll talk about the striker situation. But changes are desperately needed in that area. Let's move on to the bench. Hughes, I thought he was decent when he came on. AJ gave him 6.5 from me. He had that one opportunity where he just could have took the shot. I think he passed it to Olise, which we spoke about. But yeah, he looked of a threat of going forward as well. It's not a case of him just sitting back. So yeah, he looked solid. Luca came on for Doucouré. Me and AJ both agreed on a 6 rating there as well. For me, he didn't have much to do. He didn't have a bad game or great game. He was on for 12 minutes. In the 12 minutes, he was fairly solid. He was fairly solid. There's nothing really too much to add about Luka. Mateta, I thought it was just average. I thought it was average. I just don't. 5 from AJ, 5 from me. I just don't understand it. I genuinely don't understand it. And you might be asking, what don't you understand? How can't he jump for the ball? I'm baffled. Like, I'm baffled. Is it because someone said he might be a bit overweight? I don't know if that's the case, but it's a simple case of just jumping for the ball. He's got the height, but he just doesn't jump for the ball. I mean, he's better with his feet than than in the air. And with his feet, there isn't much that he's better with. And I'm not saying Mateta because I just mentioned Edward as well, but it's just not good enough. For a player of his standard, it should be a bit better than that. How are you not winning headers? Like, how are you not winning headers and you're that tall? That's the problem. That's the problem. These players, these strikers that we have, they have huge weaknesses in their games that just hold them back. And it's not just weakness as such as something as, oh, they're not consistent enough. Maybe that is a weakness as well. Yes, that is. But it's just the basics, just jumping for a header. And I remember a few weeks ago, Wilf was talking about it in a training video. And he actually got deleted by Palace TV. He's saying, "Oh, look, he can't jump." Like, even the players know that he can't jump. It's just not good enough. It's seriously not good enough for both our strikers. But look, that's my player ratings / AJ's. But I want to hear from you guys as well. So if you have enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and let us know your player ratings in the comment section down below. And also make sure to check out the Wolves content, which should be posted already or today, depending on how quickly you're watching this video. So make sure to check that out. And yeah, until next time, up the bye.